right, 3 o'clock on a Monday. Welcome aboard the Postgame Show. Jay and Terry with you here.
No, I'm here. I'm here.
Home a little
I got
bit longer.
you.
Back
I got
downtown.
you. We're
soon.
here. We got our technical things fixed here.
I was told you were there.
I was here. I got a little operator error going.
I was told you were there, and then I was like, well, I better start talking.
You know what I did? And it wasn't punched up correctly. Okay. I'll tell you what I did now, even though nobody heard it but Jalen. I went, hey, it's a football Friday. And I went, wait a minute, it's Monday. What am I doing here?
It's somewhere, right?
I don't know. I don't know.
It'd be nice to turn back the clock a little bit after what we had this weekend. Though.
Yes, sir. You can.
How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How about you? You all right? You getting there?
Yeah. I'd rather be where you are, but still following the orders of those who have more degrees than I do.
Yeah, so. And have those little like letters after their names and stuff.
And my wife.
Mm-hmm. Well, plus, I mean, you got the ultimate bouncer.
Yeah,
I'm just telling you. You don't mess around there, bud. When Mrs. Phillips speaks, you go, okay.
No.
Uh-huh. Oh man! All right, it's time for a Monday monologue from you, sir.
I couldn't even help her do anything this weekend.
You told me every time you wanted to help
today,
her.
I had one prepared.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I couldn't. She wouldn't let me, so I didn't much care for that. But she wasn't wrong. I just didn't much care for it. But that's all right. Today I'm a little more big picture.
Okay.
And we will talk about the football game. And at times I thought, let me just say real quick, I'll get my game thoughts out of the way. I thought for large portions, like we have seen a bunch this year, South Carolina's defense did its job. You forced a prolific offense to kick field goals in their building. That was good. You had a couple of moments here or there on offense, especially opening the third quarter, where I thought, hey, okay, there you go. You're still in this thing, despite seeing some, at times bad football in the first half from the offensive side of things. And then the fourth quarter came along, and let's just, let's not sugarcoat. It got away from you because you aren't the better football team, period. And so what opportunities you did have, you didn't take enough advantage of. Mississippi did. I was glad Carolina only had 4 penalties. That's good. I think they split the turnover battle. That's, you'd like to win it, but it is what it is. But what we ended up seeing is what we knew was there, and now we have the big result. And that's why I personally believe that the big picture story is worth more discussion today than, if you will, the smaller picture of the game itself. Now, I'm not. If you want to talk about the game, we'll talk. And I don't mean you, Terry, you, the audience, Jalen. We can do both.
Right.
But Mike Shula's been fired. And for a lot of you, I understand fully and completely that you're asking what took so long. I get it. I think perhaps you do it now because there is an off week and there is at least a sliver of hope that you could win 3 straight and get to postseason eligibility. We don't have a line, obviously, on the A&M game yet. We have a computer projection, which I think, Terry, is something like 16%. The last time I looked, it might have changed by now, but you don't have much of an opportunity when you go to College Station a week from now. It'll be a day game. It'll be an 11 o'clock local kick. Sometimes people think you can take advantage of that as the road team. We'll see. But you fired Mike Shula. And so now what, right? Like that to me becomes the question. In the short term, Mike Furry and Sean Elliott will likely split the opportunity. Who calls plays ultimately once we get to another game in 12 days' time? We'll find out. Both those guys, Furry and Sean, have experience in calling plays. So, what that looks like, I don't know. How Shane wants to handle that this week, I imagine gets found out. But more importantly, I think, is how much different can this offense really look in the final 3 games, especially when you go up against what now appears to be a different kind of A&M team. Maybe we do still see an A&M team that falls back to earth the way A&M has done historically. And that's not to pick on A&M. Again, facts are facts. This isn't an opinion. These are facts. A&M starts hot, fades, and ends up, with 8 or 9 wins instead of 10 or 11 wins. This team, Terry, to me, does not appear to be headed in that direction. So what can South Carolina do to find ways to score more than 22 points on offense, something they have not done this season? At 22 is their offensive max this season. You've, in a lot of people's minds, dare I say, wasted a redshirt sophomore season from someone who opened the year as a Heisman candidate and a potential top 10 pick. I still think a lot of people believe Lenoris Sellers is a first-round pick, or at least worthy of a first-round pick because of his potential, but we haven't gotten to see that this year. Some of it's on Lenoris. Some of it's on the system. Some of it's on good teams they played. Some of it's on the personnel around Lenoris. There's a whole big picture to look at here. So what does the change do now, not only for the next 3 games, but more importantly, Terry, what does this signal to us about what Shane Beamer and to some degree Jeremiah Donati want this offense to look like moving forward? I personally believe, Mr. Ford, that this move all but assures us that Shane Beamer will return as South Carolina's head coach, something I am in favor of. I do not believe Shane is someone who needs to be on the way out for a variety of reasons, not the least of which is a big buyout, but also that this coaching market is not one you want to be in. And also, I still believe in Shane's overarching philosophy, but he's clearly now got to do something different in a major way offensively, because while the defense has been good while he's been here and the special teams has been good and offense has shown flashes, there's never been offensive consistency. This is a seminal moment for him as a head football coach to really effect positive, meaningful change for what he wants a collegiate offense to look like. So that, to me, Terry, is really where Carolina football is now. If they win 3 straight games and make a bowl, that speaks for itself. If you win the state championship game at the end of the season, that speaks for itself. But what does this begin to do to Gamecock football moving forward? That's where I am this afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the major story here. Look, I guess here's the thing. Look, let's just focus on Mike Shula no longer being the offensive coordinator. Look, you and I have talked about this offense ad nauseum, about the things it doesn't do, the things we don't understand why it's not doing, the head-scratching play calling at times, and just kind of how we ended up in the place we are today, talking about Mike Shula losing his gig before the end of season 1. But there's some other things, too, that have nothing to do with Mike Shula, to be fair here. Mike Shula didn't drop a deep ball in the first drive. Right. Mike Shula didn't miss wide-open receivers on Saturday. Mike Shula didn't miss blocks. Mike Shula can't break a tackle one-on-one in the open field when if you can break that tackle, you're really going to pick up some yards. Yeah, Mike Shula, look, I get it. You and I went over this thing. We've been puzzling was the word for a couple weeks, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So no one's sitting here taking up for Mike Shula. I understand why a change has been made. I do. But at the end of the day, these players have to step up and make some bleeping plays, man. There were so many plays to be made in that Ole Miss game, and they just weren't made. Now, does that mean you're going to beat them? No, they're just better than you. They were better in every phase. Their band was better. Everything was better. But still, I mean, you've got to make plays as players. And that was something on Saturday that really stuck out to me, Jay, is, yeah, we can sit here and we have talked about the lack of creativity on offense or why you're not using 16 the way you should be, this, that, and like my one buddy would say, who struck John? But at the end of the day, also, players have to step up, and when you throw them the ball, they have to catch it. And when they're open, you have to be accurate. And when there's guys in front of you to block, you have to block them. And when you have an opportunity as a ball carrier to make a guy miss in the open field because you have ability, you got to make that guy miss. And I saw a lot of those things weren't happening, especially, Jay, the first half of that football game. How many times did Louis Riddick say this? Well, this shows you how close you can be as an offense when you don't execute this, you don't execute that, now you're 3rd and 9.
Right. Yeah, and I had somebody hit me during the game and say, boy, the way Louis Riddick is doing, and Louis was not being like ugly about it. He was being very observant about it. But I had a buddy of mine hit me and say, boy, this is I'll clean it up a little bit. This is very telling. That's basically the message that a friend of mine sent me during the game. This is very telling about what this offense looks like. It was. So, yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, I mean, and look again, Louis Riddick was, I mean, and look, I'll say this about Louis Riddick. I can't think of a time, Jay, that I've heard Louis Riddick be so critical of anything when he does a game. He's very right down the middle. He's not a guy that kind of goes over the top with criticism. And he was critical of the offense and of some of the things that went on with South Carolina on the offensive side of the ball. And I'll be honest with you, I was like, wow. That's typically not Louis Riddick, man.
No, it's not. And again, maybe it's something that, dare I say, needed to be heard, no matter whose ears it was going into. But I'm with you, too. Look, again, this isn't, as you just said, and we talked about this last week, even before the game. This isn't to defend Mike Shula per se, but to just observe the entire concept of what's going on. But I said to you last week, I don't care if Bill Walsh is calling your plays, and I've told you before. I always look at Bill. To me, because of when I grew up, I kind of measure play calling and innovative offenses with Bill Walsh. There's plenty of people you can look at, but I'm using him as an example. But even if Bill Walsh is calling your plays, if you don't have an offensive line to get things set up for you, and the play blows up inside of 2 seconds, it's not going to matter. And so part of that, I do think, is something that must be corrected. Yeah, and like you said, Mike can't control those things. Mike can't control drops or misses or when a running back doesn't hit his particular block or hit his hole or puts his head down too soon. Well, there's a host of factors, right? So this offense has to get better. And that's why I say now, Terry, we're in a big picture moment now. That yes, there are 3 games to play. Yes, for the kids that are still on the team, they want to go out and play hard. And I think by and large on Saturday night, they did that. Again, I don't see quit in these guys. I don't see heads hanging low. I do see a team that has spirit. I see the right character guys that Shane, as a recruiter, brings into this program. But this offense is now in basically a 5th year of being bad. I'm just going to say it that way, at least not being good enough. Again, right. Flashes here and there, certainly last year, but now, now what? And again, short term, it's going to be a project. Long term, what does this look like? That really, like I say, that's where my head is right now as much as anything else.
All right, we'll come back in and talk about the big picture. Moving forward, the offensive coordinator spot, it feels like the biggest hire for Shane Beamer and his tenure is coming up as the next offensive coordinator in the big picture of this program. We'll get to that next with our buddy Jay Phillips sitting around. Are you in the onesie or the footies or what we got going today, Bob?
Not going to answer that question.
We'll come back to some post-game show. Jalen's going to take over here, and I'm going to go on the other side here and kind of take a nap. So post-game show, we'll come back. Big picture stuff about South Carolina and what's going to happen moving forward right here on the game. All right, we'll get you live. See you, man.
time. He punts one's going to flip it over. And nicely done. The ball's dropped, and Carolina's got it at the 15-yard line. Harrison Wallace muffed the punt. It was a high, weeping punt from Mason Long.
Rolling on the field is a muff by the receiving team, recovered by the kicking team. First down.
Wallace dropped it right at the 15-yard line, and Carolina was all over it on the play.
Oh, there was Todd Ellis on the call Saturday. Things started well. Harrison Wallace of Ole Miss muffs the punt. South Carolina recovers. Then they maneuvered down the field. Lenore Sellers' touchdown run gave the Gamecocks a 7-0 lead. But then, obviously, we know where it went from there. Ole Miss gets the W. South Carolina falls to 3-6 on the season. Mike Shula yesterday relieved of his duties as the offensive coordinator. A postgame show. Terry Ford, Jay Phillips, Jalen Tart hanging here with you till 6. Jay, here in a second, we'll play the cut of Shane talking on the Sunday teleconference. It'll be cut 28, Jalen. We'll call for it. Basically talking about the firing of Mike Shula. We'll get to that in a minute. But just your thoughts as we move forward on it. Obviously, we're not shocked or stunned or surprised. Like you said in the opening riff, some folks are saying, whoa, it took you so long.
Yep.
Let me ask you, now, not to say we agree with that, but why do you think, quote unquote, it took so long?
I suppose it's because you still want to give things that you've worked on for nearly a year opportunities, and that perhaps, Terry, to come back to the point that you and I both have made, if you have the most expert play callers ever calling your plays and your offensive line can't do anything to help the play develop, or not do nearly enough, I don't want to say can't do anything, that's not fair, can't do enough, then it may not matter. And so, again, without knowing, my belief would be that because there was a change in coaching up front a few weeks ago, that there would be an opportunity to see if those corrections could lead to something better behind it. It didn't. Let's just call it what it is. It didn't. Now, as we've said, an offensive coordinator, a head coach, any coach can't make players execute the play properly. And when there are self-inflicted mistakes, those are things that must be corrected in practice. But there again, what's practice like? You know, what's that feeling like? Because some of the things we see just seem to repeat themselves far too often, and it becomes that classic definition of insanity, right? We're doing the same thing over and over, hoping for a different result. And so while I certainly understand that the Gamecock players themselves could have been better, I still look at the overall philosophy of the offense and say it's just not designed around the talent that South Carolina has, the personnel that South Carolina has. It almost felt like I have a system and I'm going to run it. And I just don't think that's been beneficial. I'm far from alone in that. I don't want to be a smartass about it. I really don't. But the results speak for themselves. I mean, look, Terry, Saturday night, I wrote this down. Mississippi, 258 rushing yards, 5.7 per carry. South Carolina, 50 rushing yards, 1.6 per carry. And you want to run the ball. That's just it. Mike kept wanting to run the ball a lot and set things up and set that play action up. You can't run. You know, I hate to say it that way. I hate to sound so defeatist, but you can't. And so you got to find other ways. You got to find other ways to move the football. So in terms of why it took so long, again, I think you want one in-season move that you didn't want to make, but you had to make to work. It didn't. Now you have to make in-season move number 2.
Yeah, and look, you know, we've talked about this, and when you see an offense that is so broken, right? And it's broken. It's been broken all year in different ways, shape, or form.
Well, it has been, Terry. Real quick, I hate to interrupt you, but you know what? When you go back and think about it, man, you go all the way back to the Virginia Tech game, right? And you saw flaws then, but you said, well, it's game 1.
Right.
You know, but even against Kentucky, you only scored 3 touchdowns on offense. Had supplemental touchdowns, I'd like to call them. I mean, so really, even in that early stretch, you realize this doesn't feel like what we thought we were going to see, and it's just continued to build upon itself.
Yeah, and I think so. What you do if you're Shane, I'm guessing, as you look at it, like you said, you replace the offensive line coach with a highly decorated former offensive line coach, and you were hoping that could shake something up, or maybe that would get the offense cooking, or at least make it better, and that didn't work either. And it just feels like. And the other thing too, I wonder how much Saturday, because Lenore Sellers, that was his worst game of the season. That was his worst game, Jay, since last year's Ole Miss game. To be fair,
that's fair.
And
I agree.
He was missing throws. Like, well, I mean, not even that. On the one option, he should have pitched. He kept it, and it barely picked up any yards. And Matthew Fuller had a ton of green grass. Some decisions. I'm sure Linares would want to have back. There's throws. Obviously, Linares would want to have back. I mean, he missed Jacobs on that throw inside the Ole Miss 30 or 25. I mean, Jacobs, the closest person to Jacobs, was like the peanut vendor, and Linares,
the one early.
Yeah,
the one early you're talking.
Yeah, he just didn't step into the throw. He just kind of
When that happened, I was actually watching Elijah and Preston and the guys on our live feed, and I just remember Elijah just kind of throwing his hands up and going like, "Oh, Lenoris, if you hit that, like Jacobs is going to score." I forget exactly how he said it, but he's gone, and like you got to hit the wide open throw. I didn't watch them all night because after a while I was like, they're going to make me upset.
I don't want to be upset. Well, that was the thing. And then Lenoris also missed Brian Rowe, which would have been a touchdown. I mean, just it was. And I wonder how much of Lenoris's bad game, and again another night where the offense couldn't get anything going in general, and the fact that you were, when you went into this game, the only team in FBS that had not gained 350 total yards as an offense. Wrap that around your skull. All that combined, and maybe, Jay, just the final piece of this thing was just, it looked like Linares really looked like a shell of what he should be on Saturday.
Yeah, and how much is in his head, and that's the unfortunate part, And look, this kid's got a dynamite future ahead of him, and we're going to talk, by the way, next hour about some of the chatter around Lenoris. So stay tuned for that, and make sure that y'all weigh in with our discussion. Terry and I had we couldn't save our morning discussion for air because we had to actually kind of map it out. It was that detailed in terms of what we want to talk about next hour when it comes to Lenoris. So we'll have that for you coming up in a little bit. But yeah, Terry, and I've thought that for a lot of the season, and I'll come back around. Now, I won't necessarily apply this logic to Saturday night, but I've told you, before, and I've said before on the program that there were, at least early in the year, Lenoris was making bad plays for good reasons. I don't necessarily see the same thing on Saturday. I think there were bad plays there because now there's so many things like, I can't do that. I got to do that. You're thinking about it too much, and you don't have the time. You don't have the time to think and process. You got to have it there for you. And again, that's why I say I think what they've been asking him to do, it's not that he can't ultimately handle it, but it's just not where his strengths are right now. And you got to utilize what he does best. And I don't mean he runs all the time. No. That man can throw the ball. He can throw it really well. He really can. But you got to put him in position to do those things. And I didn't see enough of it.
And I agree. And putting him in position to succeed is so important here. And the other part is, like on that throw where he misses Jacobs, he doesn't step into it. How much of that is, before we go to break, Jay, is the idea he hasn't had room to step up all year. Right? He's running for his life. Right. He's always under pressure. So, I mean, I can sit there on my couch.
6 sacks, Terry.
Right.
6 sacks and 8 tackles for loss by the Ole Miss defense. I mean, they were back there all the time.
Yeah, so I can sit here and say step into your throw. That's easier said than done when you've been haven't had a chance to step into your throws all season. So how much of this is, again, you become gun shy and your mechanics start to kind of falter because, again, you have no confidence you're going to be protected. We're going to play you Shane Beamer's cut coming up. What he said yesterday on the teleconference about the firing of Mike Shula as the offensive coordinator here at Carolina. That's next here on the postgame show. Jay Phillips, Jalen Targ, Terry Ford, up until 6 on the game.
Imagine this. It's a chilly night, right? But you're like, you know what? I still want to get out there and relax. Well, go see our friends at Griffin Pools and Spas and let them set you up in a beautiful, magnificent Tropic Seas spa. Their exclusive partnership with Tropic Seas has been around now since 2019, and it really is something that you'll appreciate as you just get out there. Luxury, performance, craftsmanship. I mean, these things look fantastic. More importantly, you're going to feel great in it. You're going to get the ultimate in comfort and convenience with Tropic Seas, designed to take you to the next level. Each of their spas can get you relaxation, a range of features, practical, luxurious. You're going to love them. See what they feel like. Go into the store, the showroom, just outside the Lake Murray Dam in Lexington, or learn more right now at griffinpoolsandspas.com. Invite us over. We'll come hang out with you.
I wish I knew the answer to that. We just, we're too inconsistent right now. We're too inconsistent.
as a team, we're really too inconsistent on offense, and it's a fine line right now between winning and losing, and we're on the wrong side of it too many times.
Oh, there's Gamecock head coach Shane Beamer talking about the inconsistencies of the offense. Post-game show, Jay and Jalen and Terry. It's a Reaction Monday. Hit us up on the AAA Heating and Air hotline, 803-404-6100. Same number for the Firehouse Sub text line. Also, we got 107.5 The Game on Twitter. We got Facebook. We got all sorts of stuff you can hit us on and let us know how you feel. The firing of Mike Shula as the offensive coordinator on Sunday. We're going to get to Shane's thoughts here in just a second. And, again, Jay, it's just what Shane said. It's the inconsistencies, because you'll see flashes. We'll see a drive every now and then. Old Coach Shula could script up an opening drive or whatever early in a game. But it's just like the inconsistencies of this offense throughout a game, a quarter, heck, in the same drive, Jay. You'd see 2 or 3 first downs and they're cooking, then all of a sudden a loss of 3 or there's a penalty or whatever, and then a drive that had something going would bog down somewhere around midfield.
Yeah, and again, at times, in my opinion, and maybe I'm being too harsh. I don't know. I just a lack of creativity in certain situations, or again, just finding different ways to get this particular personnel group involved, to find ways to have them become more productive, and I oversimplify it when I say there were a lot of runs between the tackles, but you're just not doing it. And look, I know you've got to do it at sometimes. I understand that. A lot of times it's about ball control and clock control, and so I understand those things too, Terry. But again, 1.6 yards per carry.
Mm-hmm.
And you're still trying to run the ball maybe more than you should. Again, use screen passes, roll Lenoris out. Look, I'm no expert, so we can all sit here and talk about what we'd like to see or what you need to do. That's not our job, right? I mean, our job is to observe. Fans can certainly have what they want to say, and we can talk about the things we'd like to see. Why they're not called, I don't know, but there are reasons that you've made a second major offensive staff change during the season. And again, I look at it not so much short term, but what it means long term, and what kind of person Shane wants to go get. Before we say anything else, I think let's play the cut. I think that's
yeah. I think here's Shane Sunday's teleconference, cut 28. Jalen talking about the firing of Mike Shula as the offensive coordinator here at Carolina.
Mike Shula is a fantastic football coach. Mike Shula is a fantastic person. His resume and all he's accomplished as a coach speaks for itself at the college level and the NFL level. I just made the decision that I made last December to promote him, and believed it was the right decision for a lot of reasons, as I spoke about at the time, and frankly, it just hasn't worked like I wanted it to work. We all have a hand in it. Players and coaches, we all have to be better, but just did not like the way we were performing offensively through now 10 games, and felt like going forward short term and long term, this was a decision that I needed to make for the betterment of our program. I know no one wants to hear it. We're not far off. We have been in the fourth quarter of games against multiple teams this year that are college football playoff contenders, and we're right there. And I expect to have this team back in the mix for a college football playoff berth, just like we were last season. And I expect to have this team in that mix soon. It obviously won't be in 2025, but in order for us to get where we want to go, we need to elevate and take another step from an offensive standpoint. It's not just about this season. We haven't been consistent enough from an offensive standpoint the last few years, and there's another level of play that we can get to offensively.
So, I mean, there's Shane talking about letting Mike go, and I mean, at the end of the day, Jay, I mean, the best way to describe it just wasn't working. And
right. I was going to say, anything in there you don't like? Anything you heard there that you might push back on?
No, it wasn't working. And look, let's rewind really quick. Mike Shula was the quarterback coach for Lennar Sellers. He was an analyst and the quarterback coach, right? Here at South Carolina, started analyst, quarterback, and became quarterback coach for Lennar Sellers. Mike Shula then was promoted to offensive coordinator when Dow left. I mean, the logic makes sense, right? Guy's been an OC before. He was a head coach at Bama. He's been Lenars' quarterback coach. It makes sense in a natural progression. Okay, Mike, you've been an OC before. Hell, you've been a head coach before. Let's pop you back in the chair and let's have you be the offensive coordinator for the guy you've worked with for a whole year. It makes total sense logically. It just didn't work. And I always say this, Jay, is are you putting guys in the best possible position to succeed? Are you building your offense around the strengths of your players? Those are the most important things in the fundamental foundation of being an offensive coordinator. And I don't know if that was happening. I really don't.
I don't think it was not to the degree needed in order for Carolina to, as Shane said, be back in the same discussion they were in last year. And what was different last year? Was it as simple as having Josh Simon and Rocket Sanders for Lenora Sellers to lean upon? To some degree, maybe. Last year, even if they still weren't great at what they did, you had consistent personnel usage on the offensive line, and I think that mattered, relative to what we've seen this year with injury and or just, lack of ability. I know that sounds harsh, but they have made changes because guys weren't getting it done, with penalties or just not being good enough, and that goes back to what we saw in 23 when you had so many line changes. So that continuity last year, I think, mattered. And really last year, Terry, to a large degree, defenses were, at least at times, maybe just caught off guard by just how bleeping good Lenora Sellers is when the play breaks down. And and you found out we can't stop that guy. And so this year they keyed on him. And I think maybe there was a point where with Mike Shula where he's like, all right, look, we need the play to work. So here it is. But it never seemed comfortable. It never seemed to click. And again, Mike was asked, I think David asked him earlier in the season, I know somebody did, it might not have been DC, how much of what you're doing with Lenoris is about trying to develop him for the next level, and to the point that you made, and Mike would say, oh, no, that's not what we're doing. And I think some of that is okay. If you're saying, well, a little bit, I don't have a problem with that, but you are here to win games. But Terry, to your point, there's a difference in being someone's quarterback coach and then having to be the pilot of the entire offense. And I just don't know if what Mike wants philosophically is where college football is today by and large, unless you have the personnel able to run that system. And I don't think Carolina does.
Yeah, and that was another part of this, too. I mean, teams aren't dumb. If you and I know how good Lenora Sellers is, the people that watch tape for a living know, right? So they're like, all right, we're going to play South Carolina. One person's not going to beat us, 16. We'll let everybody else try to beat us. We don't think the other people can step up and beat us if we stop 16. And for the most part, that was working as well. But when we heard early in the year, well, teams are spying him, double spying him, they're doing this and doing that. And my thought was, okay, what's the plan B? What are you doing now to attack? If teams are going out of their way to stop one guy, they're leaving themselves vulnerable for other things. Now, are you trying to take advantage of those? You just can't execute. It's tough to take advantage of those when all of a sudden you're getting penalties on every other play because people can't go on the snap count. I don't know what the answer is to that because we're not in those meetings. But it just felt like either there just wasn't a plan B when teams took out their plan A, if that makes any sense.
It does. Absolutely does. And I think that is also part of the offensive coordinator's responsibility to have that next phase. And I don't know that they're, either. And again, how much of it's about the line not being able to do anything for them? I don't know, Terry. But I don't know that we ever really saw what a plan B might look like. Now we will. We will.
Yes, we will. And we'll get more into that. What's next in the short term and possibly the long term for the offensive coordinator spot at South Carolina? And we continue to dig back into what happened on Saturday in the loss to Ole Miss. We want to hear from you. It's a Reaction Monday, 803-404-6100, AAA Heating and Air phone line and Firehouse Sub text line. Your thoughts on the letting go of Mike Shula on the game Saturday, on the season, wherever you want to go. Feel free to hop in and give us your opinion on the postgame show. Jay and Jalen and Terry here on the game. All right, that really sucked. If you're a Miami Hurricane fan, all 10 of you, and you had hope, you had this year's different. This year is different. Mario Cristobal can't even screw this thing up. Oh, you were so wrong. That really sucked on Saturday. Jay, you get the ball with like 35 seconds left. You've got timeouts. And you've got this quarterback you gave a lot of NIL money to, and you got fancy weapons, and you have the better team on paper and all this other stuff. Why do you just go to overtime? Why don't you take some shots to see if you can win this game with a field goal? And instead, you decide, you know what, we're going to pocket all of our timeouts, and we're going to just go to overtime. And, of course, Miami loses to SMU. Canes are now 6-2. And guess who pretty much – I'm not going to say they're out of it yet because it's not over. But guess once again whose college football playoff hopes are bleak despite having maybe the best roster in the ACC. Guess who, Jay?
Yeah, it is puzzling. And there's that word again for another team, right? I don't know. I think Mario tried to explain it away in postgame to no avail. By the way, good on you, SMU. Not only did they win the football game, but they're locking Rhett Lashley up long term.
Oh yeah, they are.
So
Smart
he's not
move.
going anywhere.
Yeah, but
so I mean, there's a lot of guys getting locked up, right?
Well,
I mean,
you and I have talked about this. This is a new world order. All these fancy, shiny jobs that are big brands and all these resources also come with a ton of pressure. You lose a game, everybody wants to fire you. And instead of going to those places, maybe you stay at the place you're doing really well at that's got a lot of advantages, and you go back to them and you say, hey, I like it here. I'm getting offers or calls. What can you do for me? And Indiana and SMU have so far ponied up, right, to keep their guys.
yes.
So it's going to be interesting to watch this coaching cycle, my man. It really is.
It is, and I wouldn't want to be. I don't think I'd want to be in it. And now, of course, Auburn is open, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit. I think giving Shane an opportunity to make a real philosophical change on offense is a good move for Carolina. And again, we'll talk more about what the what Lenoris might be doing. I know a lot of people have talked about that already. I know there's been some speculation on Gamecock Central about some of that too, so we'll get into some of that. But to go back real quick, Terry, I don't know. Do you ever think like Rhett Lashley might talk to the people at SMU, and I don't just mean like the AD, who, by the way, I think is Damon Evans, right? The former Maryland
I believe
Georgia
it is.
athletics director.
Yeah.
So he doesn't talk to Damon, but he talks to somebody and like, hey, do we have enough money to do this? And they put him in like a limo, and they take him to like the headquarters or whatever oil company. I know Exxon is headquartered in Houston, not Dallas, but to some place, and they take him to like a secret vault. And they're like, boy, what was the question again? Did we have enough money? And then he's like, all right, that's cool. I'm good. Just checking. Just checking.
You ever see that game show where it gives you like 60 seconds to run and grab as much money as you could? Remember that old game show back in the day, or grab as many things? They take him to that vault and they said, boy, every day we're going to bring you in here and you're going to get 15 minutes to grab as much money as you want every day.
Yeah, all right.
Every day. For the rest of your life.
See all this? This makes about 10% a month.
Exactly.
Okay?
So
we're doing fine. You what you need.
We got to remember something. SMU is paying the ACC to be in the ACC.
I know.
Let's keep that in mind right now.
Yeah,
Let's keep that in mind. So
they're fine.
Yeah, I mean, again.
But in terms of Miami, that did suck for them, and let me go back and see. I think the rest of their schedule is manageable, if I'm not mistaken. I'm looking at it
right now too.
Syracuse is a little
NC
interesting.
State, Virginia Tech, and Pittsburgh. So Syracuse and NC State are down in South Florida. I guess the difference, Jalen, maybe going to Blacksburg and Pitt later in the season. It's cold. At least it's cool. I don't want to use that as too much of an excuse.
The
for Miami,
Wolfpack are riding high. They just beat another undefeated team. They're one win away from a bowl game.
Problem is, SMU, they lost their starting quarterback. They started like a freshman walk on Saturday or something. So,
yeah.
I mean, but you're right about NC State, Jalen. They're feeling pretty good. And going to Pitt can be dangerous.
That can be at the end of the season. That can be. So,
but I think Miami's going to miss the playoff again.
Oh, yeah, I think they'll miss it too. Yeah,
they probably go 3-1 in that stretch.
We're going to get you on a Reaction Monday next, and also talk about Lenora Sellers' future on Hour 2 of the postgame show on a Reaction Monday here on the Game and the Game Network.
All right, of course, fall means football. Fall means extra yard work as the leaves and the pine straw hit the ground, and you want both to, move along nicely. You want to watch your football game. You want to keep your yard looking good. Cato's is ready to help you out. They can upgrade your mower, your Toro, your Gravely. I love my Toro, by the way. Got it at Cato's, of course. With a new bag system or a mulch kit, you can save up to $75 off. And once you buy that, they'll install it for free right there at 4012 West Beltline Boulevard. So as Ben Cato reminds you, save your weekends for football and let Cato's Power Equipment handle the tools for you. One of the best things about them, I've said this many times, you can go to a big box store and get your power equipment, just like you can go to a big chain department store and buy some clothes. But when you go to a tailor, you're fitted in. When you go to Cato's, they fit you in the equipment that you need. 4012 West Beltline Boulevard, always online. Cato'sPowerEquipment.com.
Post-game show reaction Monday. We're going to get to you. Thanks for holding on patiently at 410-808. 410, what the hell is that? 803-404-6100. I'm losing my mind today. I'm telling you. I'm losing my mind today.
I don't know what's going on.
I don't. I wish I could say, I have too much Bailey's in my coffee, but that's not the thing. That would make sense. Then I could do the alphabet backwards.
No.
Anyway.
Let's not attempt to do
All
that.
right. That's not a good idea. I can't do it forward. All right. Reaction Monday. Also, we're going to get to you. Just hang in there, 803-404-6100. AAA Heating and Air phone line. All right, so, you and I were having this conversation earlier this morning about Lenore Sellers.
Yep.
And I think it's fascinating, and we still got 3 games left. We know. But it's a fascinating conversation because, again, the guys at Gamecock Central have talked about it. And off of what we saw Saturday with Sellers, it was, just had a rough night in Oxford. You and I looked up some stuff from Mel Kiper and looked at some mock drafts. Obviously, Linares went from could be first pick overall in the draft, Jay, to, well, that guy's got a lot of upside and he's got a lot of talent, but he's still not getting better this year, so maybe he's going to drop a bit, blah, blah, blah. Would it benefit him to come back for another year? That was thrown out in the last 24 hours. I'll let you start. Where are you going with this whole Linares idea?
Well, I honestly, that it was even put into print and even brought up for discussion that he could come back was a bit of a surprise to me. I can understand the logic, but I would still lean toward the fact that he's going to head on to the next level. And despite what he's looked like this season, and despite the lack of production that's been there, and what considering what was expected of him and the team, I don't know how much the NFL really cares about that in the grand scheme. Do they to some degree? Certainly. And it depends on how you want to look at it. With an example like Anthony Richardson, do we look at him as a cautionary tale, or do we look at him as why the NFL types will still draft you based on your potential and your upside and those kind of things? Linares is better than Anthony Richardson as a collegiate quarterback, in my opinion. Is he a better overall athlete or whatever? I don't know. I'll let somebody else decide that, Terry. But I do think that we've seen more good from Linares in a relatively short amount of time than we saw from Richardson. And it's not Richardson's fault that, as we've said, that he got picked in the top 5. It's not his fault that at least when he got going in Indy, they weren't very good. They look a lot better now. I know they didn't yesterday, but they still look like a really good team. And good on you, Pittsburgh. You had a good game yesterday.
Let's not do that.
This is well, I know, no, not to you. But Pittsburgh had a good game, man. They had a good game.
They did.
And Daniel Jones finally did not for the first time this season. But anyway. So, Terry, I got to be honest with you. I don't know that my head is currently, I don't want to say able, but I don't know if I'm wrapping myself around the fact that Linares would come back, whether it's to South Carolina or in a fan's mind, God forbid, that he would transfer to another college team. I still believe that teams will look at him and say, woof. Speaking of which, I look at the Steelers as that kind of team. I mean, when you look at what Josh Allen is doing in Buffalo, and you look at what Linares is capable of, I see a lot of similarities. I really, really do. I mean, we could compare him to Cam, or we could compare him to Lamar, or we could compare him to, Steve Young, who used to run a lot. And I don't want to say John Elway necessarily. John didn't run the same way Steve did, but John could certainly move. And a host of mobile quarterbacks, right? Yep. Michael Vick, whatever. I mean, Linares is already a better passer than Michael Vick ever was. So I see it that way, man. If he wants to come back, hey, that's terrific. But my head's not currently there. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
I just don't see him coming back as a business decision. I mean, first of all, could he benefit for another year as a starter? Sure. Most quarterbacks can benefit for another year as a starter on the collegiate level to get themselves as ready as possible for the pro game.
Well,
right?
You know how I feel about developmental league.
Right.
They don't have one.
No. So, yeah, with Linares, would he benefit with more experience? Sure. Would it be great if he was, teeing it up for 12 more games at South Carolina last year selfishly? Does a Gamecock fan want that? Absolutely you do. But if you go by a business decision, typically guys like Linares Sellers with all that upside and ability and raw natural talent, even if they're having a year that is underwhelming, won't fall out of the first round, Jay. You fall out of the first round if you have off-the-field stuff that they dig up, right? Or you fall out of the first round if they find some mysterious injury when they're doing your medicals, in the silly season, the combine season. Or something pops up that goes, oh, but if you don't have something like that, when you have the talent Linares has, someone is going to put your name up there in the first round. I'll give you an example. The Rams have 2 first-round picks. The first one is Atlanta's. Will probably be in the top 15 because the Falcons find a way to soil themselves yearly. And the second one is going to be in the 20s because the Rams are going to be a playoff team, right? All right, so you're the Rams. Now, this goes against maybe some of their MO to a point. But let's say you're the Rams, you're a playoff team. Everything on your roster looks pretty good. Your the pick you took at number 12 was the highest player on your board, not a quarterback. Okay, let's just go down this road. Then you get to 24. You know what would look good, maybe? Taking your quarterback of the future who might be able to work a year behind Matthew Stafford, who's really going year by year, and getting a young quarterback with a ton of upside who's raw with a lot of potential in there working with the true quarterback whisperers that the Rams have, led by Sean McVay, to get his footwork right and to get his mechanics right and his processing better and do all these things that Linares does need to do on the next level, but he gets to sit behind a true pro who will have no problem teaching him, Jay, in a guy like Matthew Stafford. That would be my idea of where, first of all, you couldn't get a better scenario for Linares Sellers. And a team with 2 picks like the Rams, again, Linares might last down. I don't know if he's going to last into the 20s, to be quite honest, because of that raw ability. But if he does, I could see a team with 2 first-round picks like the Rams say, you know what? Our quarterback just turned 70, even though he's still playing at a high level. And we need the next guy. And how much would a guy like Sean McVay salivate at the idea of grabbing this massively talented individual who just needs to work on the quarterback skill set that McVay is great at teaching? Just saying, throwing it out there.
I would agree, and that's why I kind of put Pittsburgh there too, because I think Aaron Rodgers will be back next year, and I think Linares could benefit from that, even if Aaron was the way he was with Jordan Love, and hey, I'm not here to teach anybody.
I personally, with the Pittsburgh take, if Rodgers doesn't come back, I don't mind him going there because you got a coach in Mike Tomlin who knows how to develop quarterbacks, who knows how to win, and he knows how to take his teams to the playoffs. That's if he does go there, but I do agree with your Josh Allen comparison, Jay.
I just think the perfect place would be a spot where Linares isn't going to be thrown to the fire, where he could sit and learn and work on the things he needs to work on without being thrown in there with the huge expectation of saving a franchise. You know what I mean?
And none of those guys should do that. I mean, hell, again, Peyton had a terrible first year.
He led the NFL in interceptions. People forget that Peyton Manning's rookie year, he led the league in interceptions.
Then Tony came in and changed it.
All right, let's grab let's hit it. It's a Reaction Monday. We appreciate you hitting us up on the AAA Heating and Air phone lines. John has been waiting patiently. John, thanks for calling. You're on the post-game show on the game. What's going on, my man?
Thanks, guys. Terry, you had a very compelling little dissertation there with the Rams. That kind of sounded good. But let me give you the flip side. First of all, I think you guys might even agree with this a little bit. After let's say post-Clemson last year, Linares Sellers isn't the same guy. I can never forget during the build-up to the bowl game, they were talking about how, Shula's the guy was at the pros and Cam, and we're going to teach you how to be a pro quarterback and get him there. And I think so much got in his head, and then over the summer, all the build-up, and he's Superman and this, that, and the other. Then we got into this year, and Dow Loggins just is a different guy. He's a different character, just a different personality, than Mike Shula. He knew the buttons to push. He knew how to get Lenoris to go do what he had to do. And that's where the disconnect, in my opinion, came in. Not that Mike Shula's a bad guy, and he was great working with him as the quarterback coach last year a little bit. But the bottom line, that's where I see the disconnect. Man, the guy is so in his head. Those little throws he was missing the other night, the ones y'all talked about, the ones to the running back out to the right side, it was unbelievable. And you could just see that every time he just gets more and more and more frustrated. It's going to be frustrating. So here's what I see happening. I see Shane going out, and I see Shane hiring an amazing offensive coordinator. Maybe Donati reaches out to his guy at TCU, Browse.
Kendall Browse.
Caliber, somebody of that caliber that comes in and they talk to Lenoris and say, listen, man, you can go if you want to sit and wait a couple of years and learn this thing. Hey, you can go because you will get drafted. You're probably going to get drafted late. Nobody's going to want to draft him early, knowing that he's not going to. If you took him and put him into pros right now, he would get killed, annihilated. It wouldn't be fair to him. But if you can convince him and you use things like, hey, your brother's coming back, man, he was really showing promise. You can really come back and truly work your way in by progressing and really learning how to be a quarterback more. But give him the ability to shine with his abilities. That's kind of what I'm praying and hoping, because he deserves better than what he's got.
All right, thank you, John. We appreciate it.
Thank
and
you,
look, and John, that's very interesting. A very interesting, idea.
Yeah.
I'll throw this out. And look, I like you and I said, Jay, everybody could benefit for another year. I mean, he could, absolutely. But if you look at it from a business perspective, again, it would be great if he came back and you got an offensive coordinator like, someone of that ilk of a Kendall Browse who has got a resume and runs a college offense that Lenoris could shine in, and maybe that would bring him back. But here's one thing. Let's say NIL-wise, you can get him, $3-4 million. Let's just play the game, right?
Yep.
Even if you remember, Nick Eamon-Wari was picked 35th in the draft last year. That's second round. Nick is guaranteed, $11.5 million? Guaranteed money. Now, are you going to go for the, let's just say Lenoris Wood, worst case scenario, slide a bit? And let's say you're only, Jay, in air quotes, getting $11.5 million guaranteed.
Yeah.
Would you rather do that than come back for the $3 or $4 million, risk injury, risk not progressing, and then see what happens to you in the draft? Or would you take that money and just, go start your pro career? I don't know what he would do. Would it be great to see Lenoris go to South Carolina? Sure, it would. But if we're having a conversation about the real world of the business of going to the NFL now, you're going to get more money than if you come back to South Carolina, but you do come back and get another year under your belt. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but from a dollars and cents perspective, it might be better to go to the NFL where you get more guaranteed money and you start your rookie clock.
Yeah, I tell you what. Let's you ask a bunch of things in there, and I think John made a big point, a really good point that I want to touch on too and blend. So let's hit the break, Tare, and
right,
then
that'll work.
I don't have time. I don't have time here, even if I can talk fast. So, but I got a couple of answers that I want to get to on this topic.
Let's do that. We'll come back, talk some more Lenoris Sellers, and get to you on a Reaction Monday, 803-404-6100. It is the post-game show with Jay and Jalen and Terry till 6 on the game.
Nobody better than Integrated Media when it comes to your home theater setup. Have you been dreaming of a home theater and just haven't pulled that trigger yet? You go to a buddy's house or your brother-in-law's house, even a sports bar, and you say, man, I want that kind of setup where I am so I can have those kind of things. Integrated Media is ready to make a house call. That's right. They come to you, and they'll walk around with you. If it's a whole house project or just one room, doesn't matter. Dave and the crew can come in, Talk about your budget. Talk about the things that you've been dreaming of, and then make those things a reality. Maybe it's an outdoor system. Integrated Media installs amazing outdoor home theater. Looks and sounds like the inside. They can even do an in-ground subwoofer for you. Rock the neighborhood, my man. You can get it done. Integrated Media does that. Plus, home security. They can help you hook up your lights, your thermostat, and your security system all to the home theater system. Control it all wherever you want to do it. Great time here ahead of the holiday rush. 803-948-8327. The best in home technology. Integrated Media.
Sellers out of the gun. He'll take it himself. He's at the goal line. Touchdown, Carolina. Touchdown, Lenoris Sellers. He gets his third rushing touchdown of the season. This one on the road in the first quarter against number 7 Ole Miss from 1 yard out. The extra point could make it 7-0 Carolina.
There's Todd Ellis on the call. Lenoris Sellers touchdown run, only his third of the season. Of course, Carolina loses to Ole Miss in Oxford to fall to 3-7. Mike Shula relieved of his duties as the offensive coordinator yesterday for the Gamecocks. We've been talking about that on the on Reaction Monday, 803-404-6100. That is the Firehouse Sub text line and the AAA Heating and Air phone line. Real quick tonight, Women's basketball, it gets rolling for real, against Grand Canyon. 6:30 pregame with our buddy Brad Muller, 7 o'clock tip here on the Game in Columbia, 107.5. All right, we were talking about, we're going to get to your calls, so hang in there for 1 second, 803-446-100. Jay and Jalen and I were talking about Lenore Sellers and his future, and again, Jay, you and I kind of agree that we figure he's going to go off to the NFL after this year, but Thomas called in and made some interesting points about how to possibly keep him here at South Carolina, and you go ahead.
Yeah, so, look, I don't know what he's going to do, and I can easily make a case, and believe me, as from a fan perspective, what you want is easy, and if he comes back, like that's not even – I don't want to say I don't want to discuss that part, but the point I make here when I say that is simply, Terry, again, if he comes back, well, duh, right? Like you know what that looks like.
You're doing backflips, right?
But what our last caller John said that I think stuck with me is the potential of a guy like Kendall Briles. And I don't currently know what Kendall makes. Kendall is a guy who's basically from, he's from Texas, and he's branched out to other places from time to time. But when getting him over here might cost you a lot of money. Not saying you can't do it. But John made a point about Dowell Loggins. And remember, Dowell spent a couple of years on staff at Arkansas working with Kendall Briles, and then brought a lot of that collegiate philosophy, despite all of the years that Dowell had spent in the NFL, brought a lot of that collegiate philosophy to the offense he wanted to run at South Carolina. And I think that made a big difference for Lenoris last year. I think John nailed it with that. I do think – listen, and we touched on this in the first hour, Terry, but I think John expounded upon it. Being a quarterback coach and working with a quarterback on his fundamentals, on his mechanics, on how to call plays, how to read the defense, those are all must-haves for any great quarterback. Doesn't necessarily mean that same person translates well to then putting that quarterback in the best position, and I think we saw that this year. Dowell, I think, had a better idea of what to do with Lenoris, and it didn't hurt that you had Josh Simon as the easy button, as Elijah liked to call him, and you had Rocket Sanders in that backfield. Somebody else, by the way, that Dowell was familiar with from when he was also at Arkansas, and Kendall Briles was out there as the OC and quarterback coach. So some of those philosophies did get used last year, and then Carolina went away from it this year. And I think that's one of the mistakes, is that you had something that was working. You needed to build upon that. And maybe Shane thought that some of those concepts could still translate, and it just felt like Mike either didn't do as much of that, didn't want to do as much of that, or, again, couldn't do as much of that because of the personnel. So I say those things just about the philosophy of the offense. Secondly, you make a great point, man. Look, Lenoris seems like the kind of kid that would absolutely be fine with gambling on himself. And it's not a bad gamble if you come back to college and get paid $3 or $4 million to do it one more year and continue your education at the same time. But $11 million is more if you aren't a first-round pick. And I don't even know what the slot values were he to be a first-round pick, which I still believe he could be, what he would be able to do to change his life. $3 million is a lot of money, Terry. $4 million is a lot of money. $11 million, $12 million is a lot of money. $20 or $30 million is even more. Are you willing to risk, as you said, a year? And you can get insurance, and Carolina will pay for that, to hedge those bets. I don't know. Would I like to see him come back?
Sure.
Hells yeah.
Oh,
Hells
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So I don't necessarily envy the Sellers family as they try to navigate what happens next. I'll just come back to what I felt, as I told you earlier. When I saw that in Wes's piece, I was like, oh, okay. So there's even chatter that he's going to be thinking about coming back. Did not know that. That could be a positive.
The thing about no matter who the quarterback is next year, I really think the direction we're talking about is, I hope, is the direction Shane goes. I mean, he's always gone a certain way with these pro-style stuff or, ex-NFL guys or whatever the case. And I know Satterfield was kind of like the last-minute replacement for Bobo. But it's just the idea that, and then look, Kendall Browse, I guess we brought that name, that type of mind, right? A guy that understands coordinating in the college game and the use of the hash marks and the space and all those things you can do and the creativity and, just like for example, like you watch with Ole Miss. The creativity you watch with Alabama, the things they were doing. I mean, that 4th down and 3, what Ole Miss runs that reverse, that where the wide receiver was possibly going to throw it, but took off, kept it and ran for a first down. Just different things that are just creative in today's college football world offensively, Jay, to take advantage of like the Lenoris Sellers type of dual threat guys or players you have with specific skills that if you put them in the right position, they could wildly succeed possibly. I think that's the kind of OC that I would love to see. Shane, Shane's not listening to me, but I would love to see him go get a real creative mind who could open up this offense. Because you said this in the first riff. Special teams here, for the most part, has been good. Defense, except for the beginning of, 23? Yeah. When they struggled, has been good. The problem here has been consistent offensive productivity. And that's held this, even on the 2 good years, Jay, the 8 and 9 win years. What if your offense would have got going earlier? Then what would these seasons have looked like? The thing that has held Shane back from getting to that next level consistently of where he wants his program is a productive, efficient, point-scoring offense. And
Josh Hoover this year is TCU's quarterback, Terry. 2,371 yards, completed 65% of his passes, 22 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He's only been sacked 12 times. I think Lenoris has been sacked 12 times the last 2 games.
It feels like he gets sacked 12 times a game. It really just feels that way.
I won't pretend to know how to do QBR, but apparently he's the 31st rated quarterback in college football this season. He doesn't run the ball very much, but he doesn't need to in that kind of offense. So, and they're 6-2. He's a very efficient quarterback. And that's just this year. I was just kind of looking up some of the things that Kendall Browse is doing right now with TCU. Because I know I've had several people hit me on Twitter in the last couple of weeks. We got to go get Kendall Browse. And they're not even saying somebody like Kendall Browse. Mm-hmm. They want Kendall Browse. I don't know what that would cost.
Right.
I don't know where Carolina's budgetary restraints are.
Kendall Browse, I just looked it up, Jay. He's making almost 1.5.
Okay, I was going to say, I would honestly believe that you would have to go nicely north of $2 million to get him to come to Columbia, South Carolina. Not because this isn't a place where he would want to be or that we don't have things that the Browse family would like. Just that, again, they're kind of entrenched in Texas. Mm-hmm. That's where their family is. And, look, it's a transient business. Make a run at him. Heck, why not, right? But I would think it would cost you north of $2 million to get him here.
I mean, the young kids would say, "Shoot or shoot." I mean, right? You don't know if you're gonna miss.
Right. Well, we have a guy in the AD office who knows something about TCU, right?
We do, and he okayed the contract Kendall has. Here's my question, Terry. Mm-hmm. There's a whole bunch of job openings, and while his father may have kind of a radioactive name these days, Kendall does not, and he's successful. Kendall's he's in his mid-40s now. He's probably ready to.
It might be time.
I mean, he's already been an OC and QB coach in the Southeastern Conference. I think he's ready to be a head coach. So you want to pay him.
Yeah. I know. I hear you. All right, Keith, Barry, Ray. We promise next segment we're going to get your words in on a Reaction Monday as we roll up until 6 with Jay and Jalen and Terry. It's a post-game show on the game. As we get older, as guys, stuff that we used to take for granted doing and happening just doesn't happen anymore. And it might just be something simple as low testosterone. It might be the reason why you have no life drive or personal, sexual, professional drive, whatever. You say, Yeah, you can't remember things like you used to, or you don't sleep as well, or not as strong at the gym, you don't bounce back as well after a workout. All these things just might be low testosterone. One way to find out, you just call 803-875-MENS. You set up an appointment to go speak with Dr. Dan and the staff at the Men's Clinic of South Carolina. Tell them your story. If they think it could be low T, they'll do some lab work. If it comes back low testosterone, they then put you on a program that is specifically designed for you to get you back to feeling like you again. Get back to being you again. Make that call, 803-875-MENS. Men's Clinic of South Carolina. Might just be low T. One way to find out. Call the Men's Clinic. Quick check on the roads. A lot of construction, like always we have. Hugie, I-126 at I-26. Malfunction Junction, still slow traffic there as well. Clouds, no chance of rain this afternoon or tonight, so weather should not be conditions for your ride home. We'll get you caught up on any accidents in our next traffic report at the top of the hour. That's where we're at right now. We will come back and talk to you on a Reaction Monday, 803-404-6100 on the postgame show. Also tonight, women's basketball season gets started. Our buddy Brad Muller on the call, 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock tip as the women host Grand Canyon. That is coming up tonight here on 107.5 The Game in Columbia. Next up, though, your calls on a Reaction Monday on the postgame show on The Game. All right, we will talk to you on a Reaction Monday. Jay Phillips, Jalen Tart, Terry Ford here on the Postgame Show here on the game. Let's get started. Go right in the row of when you called in. We'll get Keith in here. Keith, welcome to the Postgame Show on the game. We appreciate your patience and your call and your listening. How you doing, man?
Doing great, Terry and Jay. It's hard to put it all together, but when you look, and Jay said it earlier, or you may have, that 50% of our production from running back tight end is gone from last year, and there's a lot of variables that go into it, and it's just frustrating because you feel like Lenore's really hadn't made a lot of progress, but you got to be realistic and look at all the pieces around him. But all we've heard from the beginning is, keeping Lenore in the pocket to go through his reads and progression. And if you recall the other night when twice Ole Miss had a four-man front, do you remember? Mm-hmm. When the two middle defensive linemen dropped out and it was only a two-man rush? Both times Lenore's is pushed out of the pocket as opposed to stepping up. So, I mean, it's just there's enough blame to go around without us piling on too hard on Lenore's. And I know, gosh, he's as frustrated as we are.
Sure.
Because that was a train wreck the other night. But
yeah.
Look, enjoy the show.
Thanks,
and,
man. Appreciate you.
Hopefully the powers that be will figure it out.
Yeah, let's hope so, Keith. Thanks. And then, like we said, Jay, it's like we were just talking about that play where he misses Jacobs on the sideline, or on that deep shot inside the Ole Miss 30. Again, when you watch the replay, he just didn't step into the throw, right? He didn't step up and make that throw the way you want him to, off, shifting his weight and making the throw off the front foot and all that stuff. But again, when you've been getting chased and hurried and sacked and pressured and all that, how much confidence do you have to step up in the pocket to make a throw? I mean, let's talk reality. We can sit and say, hey, man, you got to step up in there and you got to fire that thing. Well, that's easier said than done when you've been sacked. I've lost track and pressured and hit and hurried. Remember, you and I joked about this last year. How many sacks did Lenore save in that Texas A&M game last year? I mean, at the end of the day,
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. So at the end of the day, I mean, this guy is. Look, I'm not excusing it, but I'm saying if you get gun shy from all the pressure and the hits and the sacks, and you're not mechanically going through your proper setup and throw, I can understand that to a point, right?
I absolutely can, yeah, and that's why we're certainly not piling it all on Lenore.
No, not at all.
I don't think Keith was implying that at all either. There's a lot to go around, but I do think so much of it has gotten into Lenore's head that it's just everything's kind of scrambled right now, and there aren't as many outlets for him last year or like this year as there were last year. And I do think that this feels different for what he's been asked to do. And you do want to progress. You do have to grow. And again, development is part of what happens at this level when you look ahead to somebody potentially going to the next level. So I get all those things. I do. But I still will contend and maintain that this system this season did not suit his skill set to the best of its ability.
Jay, he just didn't look comfortable all year. He has not looked comfortable.
I don't think he has, Terry, from Virginia Tech forward.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, like I said, there's a lot of blame to go around everywhere to, offensive coordinator and play calling and, offensive line, receivers, backs, quarterback. Everyone can go everywhere, but I guess it starts with, has this system of offense been built to put these players in the best position to succeed and to play to their strengths? And I think that's the starting point of any good offense.
Right.
All right, let's go. Let's keep going here on our Reaction Monday, 803-446-100. Our buddy Barry has it. Hold on, Barry. We appreciate you, my man. Welcome to the Postgame Show. How you doing, pal? Line 4. Jalen, get Barry.
Is Jay there?
There you are, bud. All right,
hey,
we got
buddy.
you. How you doing, Barry?
Jay.
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me, Jay? I just want to let you know, man, before I lay my head down every night, you and your family are in my prayers. I just want to let you know that right off the top, okay, my brother?
Thank you, buddy.
But,
that means a lot. I appreciate that.
Well, it comes from my heart, bro. Listen, as far as sellers are concerned, bro, this is a no-brainer, okay? This kid is not going to be based on his numbers. I've got him here. I don't want to embarrass anybody because the numbers are just terrible. You look at G.G. Jackson. He came here. He's uncoachable. But the kid wasted the year by coming here. Sellers would be a fool to come back and risk his life and risk the future of his football career to come back to this university. You can get Broyles. I don't care who you get. You can get Andy Reid to come in and call plays. Lars Sellers needs to leave South Carolina while he's still breathing. Okay? That is the only way for him to go. No, he's not being developed. Yeah, he's made a lot of mistakes, but he's also, like you say, frustrated. I've seen him slam balls after sacks. I've saw his reaction after a safety. The kids, he's just crushed. He's crushed. And no, I'm not going to pile on him because the NFL is not drafting him on the numbers at the University of South Carolina.
Nope.
The NFL is drafting him on, yes, what you said, Jay, potential. Okay, on his potential, what they've already seen. Lars Sellers doesn't have to play another football game this year to get drafted at some point in the first round, I do believe, in my opinion.
Yep.
That's my opinion. I could be wrong, okay? And, Jay, just on the funny side, I got one bone to pick with you, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Going back now, I'm like Deion Sanders, baby. I keep receipts, okay? Going back 2 years, listen, going back 2 years ago, you were talking about University of Connecticut football team being disbanded. Well, let's forget, they got a pretty decent men's basketball team, right?
Yeah,
they got a pretty decent. They got a pretty good girls basketball team, right?
All right.
And I think their baseball team is pretty competitive as well. And their football team last year was 9-4 with a bowl win. And where are they this year? So I want you to retract that the Connecticut football team needs to be dismantled.
I love it. Thanks, Barry. Appreciate you. So you ready for your apology now to Jim Mora?
Well, no, I'll look into it and see if they don't need to disband. I don't know if I ever said that. I think maybe step down. Did I say disbanded? Maybe I did.
No, you might have said disbanded.
No.
Maybe drop down to the FCS. Spending a lot of money at Connecticut on football still seems to be, in my opinion, a waste of funding, considering that there'll never be anything other than
Barry
great
got you, man.
school.
Barry held a receipt. He got you, brother.
All right, that's cool.
But I want to say something, and Barry, and we've talked about this, and Barry hit it too. Lars Sellers isn't being drafted on his numbers at South Carolina. To be honest with you, again, this is just my thought. If I am sitting in an NFL front office and we're sitting around, myself and my scouts, and we're looking at Lars Sellers' tape, and we're breaking down Lars Sellers, I'm looking at not just this year's tape, but last year's tape, right? I'm looking at why hasn't he evolved or progressed. And to be honest, the NFL people will look more at the system of offense Lars has played in and the offensive line in front of him and things of that nature when they are looking at Lars more than his stats or numbers. You know what I mean? They're going to look at
absolutely.
They're not going to look
at the film won't lie.
The film
won't lie.
I mean, look at Rico Dowdle. He didn't have a solid offensive line running through the holes, and look what he's doing now at Carolina.
Jordan Love threw 17 picks at Utah State his final year. Josh Allen was under 50% completion percentage at bleeping Wyoming.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, guys with Lars' traits go in the first round unless they got some kind of baggage, which Lars does not have, that we know of. So, just saying. Just saying.
No, I still think he's a first round.
So do I.
So
I think
Barry and I can agree on that. We may disagree on the necessities of UConn spending on football, but I do agree that Lars will be a first.
Got a little J or Nay coming up, and we'll also get back to you on a Reaction Monday next on the post-game show on the game. All right, get a little J or nay in here in a second. Also get back to you on a Reaction Monday on the AAA Heating and Air hotline. Also Firehouse sub-text line 803-404-6100. Jay Phillips, Jalen Tard, Terry Ford, post-game show here on the game until 6. No Shane Beamer presser tomorrow because South Carolina is off in a bye week. They'll be back the following week. Shane will be popping up on Tuesday. But there is a Carolina Calls on Thursday. So we do have a Carolina Calls on the way this Thursday, but no Shane Beamer presser until next week. And, of course, A&M hosting South Carolina a week from Saturday. We start at 7 a.m., baby, for a noon kick Eastern. You missed those. You missed those 7 a.m. pregame shows, Jay.
Yes, I do. And by yes, I do. No, I don't. No, I don't.
Oh, man. All right, let's pop some J or nay real quick. Hit it, Jalen. There we go. All right, the Texas Longhorns took out Vanderbilt. Heck of a comeback by Vandy, though.
Yeah.
Fell short.
34-10?
Yeah.
Right? It was 34-10?
Yep. Ended up being 34-31. Texas held on for their lives. Okay.
Yeah.
3 games left for the Longhorns, who are right now sitting at 4-1 in the SEC. A game out of first place. 7-2 overall. They got to go to Georgia. Then they host Arkansas, and they host A&M. J or nay, Texas could get themselves in the college football playoff even with that tough schedule.
Okay, I'm gonna answer your question 2 ways because you asked Texas could.
Could they? Do you think they will, J or nay?
Nay.
Yeah.
Nay. I think they're going to lose to Georgia, and I think they're going to lose to A&M. So, nay. Could they? Sure. Will they? Nay. Nay.
J or nay?
But I like what they did the other day. I thought they would win.
Yeah, well,
they
remember,
didn't cover for me. I kind of hacked off about that.
I remember, I every now and then I get one right. I said I figured Texas would win, but Vandy would cover.
If it had stayed, it was at 2.5 all week, and if it had stayed at 2.5, I'd cover.
That's true. That's true.
It went to 3.5 on the day of the wild card showdown.
All right. Hugh Freeze got canned at Auburn, obviously over the weekend.
Didn't see that coming, Terry.
No, that was a shocker.
I saw that coming.
By the way, he called me off of his burner phone to let me know. Anyway. All right, Auburn.
Jalen, you'll learn. You'll learn what we mean when we say that.
All right, ready? Auburn, unlike LSU and Florida, Auburn will have to go get a group of 5 head coach or a coordinator who is currently with a Power 5, a Power 4 school. They will not get a sitting Power 4 head coach. Jay or nay?
I'm going to agree with that and say Jay. I don't think they will. I think they will try. When I saw Eli Drinkwitz's name on somebody's hot board or whatever this morning, I was like, Eli, I wouldn't touch the Auburn job unless Eli is not offered the LSU or Florida job or Penn State job for that matter, and I think he's going to have interest from all 3. I would stay where I am. I wouldn't go to Auburn. I'll wait for the next big gig to come open. So I think Summerall is a real likely possibility for Auburn. Otherwise, yes, hot coordinator. Kendall Briles, Charlie Weiss Jr., somebody like that maybe. But I do not think they'll get a sitting Power 5 coach here. No.
All right, Dan Quinn, head coach of the Commanders, said today, 100% on me. I left Jaden Daniels in too long. If you don't know, Jaden Daniels had an ugly dislocation of his elbow last night in the blowout loss to the Seahawks. Daniels was still in the game with about 7.5 minutes left. The Seahawks had like a 4-score lead, and Daniels, it was gruesome. If you want to go get grossed out, look at it.
38-7. Terry, I don't know what you're going to ask me here, but go ahead and ask.
I was going to say, is Dan Quinn right? Is this all on him that he left him and he should have taken him out?
Jay, times 1,000. It's an almost fireable offense. This is a kid who has the potential to be the most valuable player in the National Football League in the coming years. He's already won a Heisman, had a hell of a rookie year. Unfortunately, he had a different injury that's kept him out for a few weeks, and now you put him in and you keep him in for this, and you say in the postgame, well, we're trying to ramp him up a little bit. That's what practice is for. That's a fireable offense in a lot of people's minds. I cannot believe that Dan Quinn had a megastar potential kid in the game down, 31 points in the fourth quarter.
That was me.
Thing, I could not believe it.
Look, dude, I'm Jay with you. I was like, it's the fourth quarter and you're down huge. I'm like, get this guy. Plus, he's been hurt so much this year.
He's already been hurt.
Right, let's get him out of the game.
He's already been hurt.
That was me.
Fireable offense, man.
It was
Fireable
crazy.
Offense.
Jay. We all say Jay on that one. 5 o'clock
That's
news,
right.
and we're going to talk to Ray on the Reaction Monday coming up on the game.
AAA Heating and Air ready to keep you and your family nice and comfortable as the cool months finally descend upon the Midlands of South Carolina. Get your system checked. Do what I did the other day. My guy Wade came out from AAA Heating and Air. We had a little thing, and he got it going real fast. Now we're nice and warm again here at the house. If you haven't had your system inspected in a while, time to get it done. 803-677-1500. Maybe it's time for something brand new. Your system is old, inefficient. AAA can help you out with guaranteed financing. They can get you no payments or interest for a full year for qualified buyers. $1,500 system buyback rebate. So bang, right there you saved a bunch of money. And a 15-year parts and labor guarantee. Quick repair, inspection, brand new system, anything in between. 803-677-1500. Do what I've done. Many of your friends and neighbors work with Roy and Dana Finley and their crew at AAA Heating and Air.
Time to check the traffic real quick. We have an accident. 2 right lanes blocked. I-20 eastbound Long Pond Road, exit 51 and exit 55. Clemson Road at Summit Parkway. Forest Drive at Highway 12. Garner's Ferry Road at Old Eastover Road. South Lake Drive at Highway 602. I-26 westbound at Augusta Road. Time to check the traffic real quick and what's happening on the roads here in the Midlands. Few accidents to get to right now in Lexington. There's an accident, 2 right lanes blocked, I-20 eastbound between Longs Pond Road and South Carolina 6. That's exits 51 and 55. Also accidents, Clemson Road at Summit Parkway, Forest Drive at Highway 12, Percival Road. All right, so Reaction Monday. John and Ray, hang in there. We will get to you on the AAA Heating and Air phone line, 803-446-100. First of all, though, to our correspondent at the Integrated News Sports Desk, Jay Phillips. We got to get a big desk, and it just says Integrated Media 5 o'clock news on the front of it.
I think that's in the works. That's all I'll say.
I'm just saying.
That is in the works. No, it is 5 o'clock news time. By the way, how about that new traffic sounder? Huh?
I like that. I wrote it over the weekend.
That's big time.
I just had something going on. Tesh and Yanni and I got together.
Sure. That's good. South Carolina falls to Mississippi 30-14. The final score. Gamecocks drop to 3-6 overall, so it'll take winning out in order for South Carolina to get to a bowl game. Most importantly, though, yesterday, if you have not yet heard by now, I imagine if you're a Gamecock fan, you already know Mike Shula, the Gamecock offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach, was fired effective immediately. This comes, of course, as Carolina has its second bye week of the season, so a chance for now, at least it appears, Mike Furry and Sean Elliott to take over the offense. Exactly who has in-game responsibilities next week in College Station, I'm not sure if that's been fully decided upon as of yet, whether it'll be by committee or whether one of those guys will take it over. But Shane will let us know more on that, certainly in the coming weeks. But a disappointing night. Started off okay. I mean, Gamecocks took a lead after an Ole Miss mistake, but the Gamecocks could never really get it going. Lenoris just 16 of 30 for 180 yards passing. Gamecocks only gained 50 yards on the ground, rushing for 1.6 yards per carry. They tried to run the ball. They simply could not. Meanwhile, Mississippi's defense sacked Lenoris 6 times. They also recorded 8 tackles for loss, did the Rebels' defense, and were active all night long. As one caller mentioned, there was even one time when maybe only 2 guys were rushing Lenoris, and still these guys got through the line and were able to affect the play, and that wasn't the only time that happened. Both teams not good on third down. South Carolina 3 of 13. Mississippi just 1 of 11. That's a bright spot for the Gamecock defense in Clayton White. That said, Ole Miss did convert 3 of their 4 fourth down opportunities. So Gamecocks again off this week as Mike Shula is out. But here's Shane Beamer on what his offense must do more of. Number 10.
Yeah, have to look at it. They did a good job covering, and, there were some protection issues. There were some times where Lenore certainly probably needed to step up in the pocket and help the offensive line out. But we said this game, Todd, was going to come down to the fourth quarter, and guys got to make plays. And there were too many times where, they made the plays, and we didn't. We got to continue to design ways to get guys open. We got good enough receivers where they should be able to get open. It was good to see some of those guys make plays. We need to make more of them. There were too many competitive plays tonight that we didn't make from a competitive standpoint.
Terry, that's just been a theme this season, and again, it comes back to what you said, what I've said, what we've heard from some of our listeners and fans. It doesn't feel like, for whatever reason, this offense has ever been tailored to the personnel that South Carolina has. We know it's a deep and talented wide receiving core. We know they've got at least capable backs. Again, maybe nobody to the level of Rocket Sanders or, as Jalen mentioned a few years ago when Rico Dowdle was here doing his thing. But you've got guys that have shown some flashes of production, and that's just it, flashes. There's not been that consistency, and that, as much as anything else, is why Mike Shula's gone.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing. We go back to it. The offenses look disjointed all year. Whether it's, again, the offensive line, are they being asked to do things that are in their skill set? I don't know. Is there communication issues? We've heard about that. We've seen Lenoris having to run for his life. Has Lenoris been put in the best position to succeed in the offense that Mike Shula wanted to run? The backs, have they had a chance to be productive? Because you get the ball handed off to you and 5 guys are standing there playing rock, paper, scissors. Who wants to hit you? It's kind of tough to figure out what the right read is, if there's a read at all. The wide receivers haven't consistently gotten open. What kind of scheming has been done to help them? It's all over the place, Jay. I mean, it's not just. Yep. I wish it was one thing, right? We could go, okay, fix that, everything's good. We have been looking at the offensive line all years. Just get the offensive line right and everything will fall into place. I don't know if that's really, if it's that easy. And obviously, finally, Shane said it's more than just getting the offensive line right.
Meanwhile, Shane, we have more that we'll have. Stay tuned in the Gamecock Notebook coming up at 5:15. We'll have a longer cut, about 2 minutes or so, of Shane explaining the Shula dismissal. But in the meantime, this is also from Postgame, cut 22 here, Jalen. Shane was asked if getting to a bowl game means something.
Yeah, now we need to find a way to win. I mean, there's a bunch of competitors in that room, and I know you wrote yesterday that do bowl games matter? Yeah, bowl games matter, and we're trying to get to a bowl game, and the only way you can do that is finding a way to win a football game, and we got a lot of work to do. We're not where we want to be. We got a bye week to continue to try and get better and fix some of these issues, Jordan, and go to College Station, and we're not thinking about what's beyond College Station. It's this week getting better and then figuring out a way to go out there and compete. These guys will respond. I don't have to dangle anything. I don't have to go in there and give some, Newt Rockney win one for the Gipper speech to try and get these guys motivated to play. Like they'll compete. That's what they do. They compete and we've got to get better so we're sick and tired of this feeling. I'm tired of coming into the team meeting on Sunday, and I told them that before the game. I'm tired of coming into the team meeting on Sunday talking about how close we are, talking about we didn't finish, and they're tired of hearing me say it. They're tired of feeling that way, and we're going to go right back to work and try and fix the things that we can to get better so we can finish. And as competitors, that's what we're trying to do. Is just we get another opportunity to go compete in 2 weeks, and that's what we're going to do.
Terry, hear me out when I ask you this question, because I don't want to present it as their celebration. But does the removal of Mike Shula from the equation have a way to positively galvanize these guys? Will there be a burden lifted? Will they have a sense maybe of renewal even in 3 games that, hey, now some of these things that we've wanted to do or see will take place? I'll be curious, but I again, nobody's going, woohoo, he's gone. But
Right.
I do wonder what that reaction feels like this week in practice and amongst the guys on the offensive side especially.
Jay, sometimes, when you're in a funk, just a different voice changes stuff, right? There's nothing against Mike Shula. It just didn't work, right? It just did not work. So, and look, if you're a player, you're on the field, it's not working, right? I mean, you look at the scoreboard, you're coming off the field and you're giving the ball up in some way, shape, or form. And whether it's, execution or a combination of an offensive system that has just been clunky, or play calling that isn't hitting the mark, or an offensive line that can't block. Now you get a fresh start, even though it's near the end of the year, right? You get everybody gets to reset. And Mike Furry and Sean Elliott will bring in some different things. You're not going to flip the offense upside down. All of a sudden they're running the wishbone against Texas A&M, but you are going to change some stuff in your bye week, and maybe there's some tweaks you can make, and guys going, all right, we got a fresh start with different voices and a couple of new ideas, and everybody goes out there and feels better, right? Just like
Right.
Just like life. Sometimes you get into a funk and you try something different or something new, and maybe you're doing Pilates, I don't know, but you change everything, and maybe that's what they're getting here. And maybe that's why Shane did it going to a bye week, right? You give yourself extra time to maybe get that fresh start and get your second wind or whatever. So, yeah, to answer your question, it is possible at times. Just different voices and going in a different direction, even in a short term, can help you some.
We'll have more again on Shane's specifics for getting rid of Mike Shula coming up in the Gamecock Notebook here in just a few minutes. In the meantime, South Carolina women's basketball, the number 2 team in the country going into the regular season, opens play tonight at 7 o'clock. Doors open in just under an hour. Unless you have the fast break pass, then you get in 20 minutes. So if you're one of those people, hey, good for you. You're a VIP. Gamecocks taking on the Lopes of Grand Canyon. And, of course, very familiar face leading Grand Canyon, Winston Gandy, a longtime assistant at Carolina, will bring his team into Columbia tonight. Joyce Edwards leads the way for Carolina. She is both the top returning scorer and rebounder, 12.7 points and 5 boards per game. Carolina again, tonight at 7, and here on the airwaves in Columbia, Brad Muller on the call beginning at 6:30. Also, Terry, hopefully we have this in the budget for us to all go do next year, but South Carolina has agreed to return to Paris.
I'm in, man.
I'm in. Hey.
They will open the 26-27 season a year from now, actually less than a year. Monday, November 2 at the Adidas Arena in Paris, taking on the University of Maryland. There'll be a doubleheader that day that features North Carolina and Oklahoma as well. Diana Koval tells us tickets go on sale at a later date. So go ahead and put that in next year's budget that we will broadcast live from the French capital.
Absolutely.
That will be a great game.
Open it.
Ready, live from the
Great
Eiffel
game.
Tower, the post-game show. I like it.
Yeah, I mean,
That'll be too cold. I can't.
No, even better. Live from the Louvre.
hey, yeah,
Yeah.
I'll break in and do. I mean, I'll sit outside and do that.
Yeah.
I like it.
By the way, those bozos, man. I mean, you know it's an inside job, and how are you going to sell that? What are you going to do with that? I mean, it's the French. It's the French. I know there's no monarchy in France anymore. It hasn't been for a long time, but it's the French crown jewels. You don't just like go fence those, you know.
Exactly. Exactly.
So-
I have a feeling trying to put that on the down low is not going to work, Jay.
Yeah, you put it on eBay, right?
Facebook,
these look
Facebook Marketplace.
Facebook Marketplace. These look
Yes.
nice. These are great.
Well, are they real?
Anyway.
Is them real, Martha? Look at them things.
Last night, again, the Bills held off the Kansas City Chiefs. KC had an opportunity, man. The Bills dunked the field goal. They had it all planned out, dunked the field goal, gave Patrick Mahomes an opportunity. Had a couple of nice plays to get him at least in Hail Mary range, but didn't quite get it done. So the Chiefs slipped to 5-4. They're in third place in the AFC West. Tonight, it's the Dallas Cowboys hosting the Cardinals. And I think it's Jacoby Brissett starting for Arizona tonight, right?
I had to take Kyler Murray out my fantasy.
I'll take what's the spread of it? Anybody? I don't know.
No.
I can look it up real quick.
Look it up real quick, Jim.
Yep.
Well, I'll take that. Whatever it is, I'll take Dallas. I'll take Dallas.
Well, that's always a home. Well, it's a home game for Dallas, whether they play in Dallas or in Phoenix.
3.5.
Only 3.5?
Dallas 3.5.
Even without Kyler Murray.
Because, I mean, Jacoby Brissett is playing really good football, even though they're losing games. That offense is really, really good.
I mean, look, I just have the feeling eventually Jacoby Brissett's going to remember he's Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah.
That's going to happen at some point.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. And finally, real quick here, the new AP Top 25 out yesterday, but I'll just give it to you. No change amongst the top 7. Ohio State, Indiana, A&M, Bama, Georgia, Oregon, Ole Miss all remain where they were. BYU up 2 spots to 8. Texas Tech into the top 10 at 9. And Notre Dame climbs up a couple of spots to number 10. Then it's Oklahoma and Virginia, followed by Texas. Up 7 are the Longhorns after their win over Vandy. Louisville is 14th. Vandy drops 6 to number 15. Georgia Tech suffered their first loss of the year at NC State. Jackets are number 16 at 8-1. Utah is next. Then Miami down 8 spots after their loss in Dallas. Missouri is 19th unchanged. Southern Cal won at Nebraska. They are 20th. Then the final 5, Michigan, Memphis, Tennessee down 9 are the Vols. Home loss to Oklahoma, Washington, and Cincinnati. That's your AP Top 25. More from Shane Beamer coming up on why he dismissed Mike Shula yesterday. That's part of the Gamecock Notebook and your phone calls, 803-404-6100. That's our integrated media headlines of the day. Got a live read here, Jalen. I can't remember. Who is it? U.S. Brick, ready to make your brand new home or exterior projects look better than ever. You know a lot about what a brick is, right? Fired from clay. A lot of it is made right here in the Midlands of South Carolina. But how about this? They're also doing something really cool. It's called tumbled brick. Now, they don't make them like they used to unless you're doing it the way U.S. Brick, Mikey Johnson and his crew like to do it. You know that brick you see on houses that looks like it's been there for a long time? That's the feeling that U.S. Brick has captured with their new product line. They call it the Heirloom Collection. It's authentic tumbled brick. It is made to look like it's been around for decade upon decade, like you see down in Charleston or Savannah, those nice, lovely old homes. But you say, like, man, can I do that? Yes, you can. It's the real deal. Every brick a little bit different from the tumbling process, and that's what makes it beautiful. See these and so much more at their Exterior Design Center on 300 UG Street. Build better with U.S. Brick.
All right. It's a
I
reaction
wish
Monday.
I knew the answer to that. We're
bad.
too inconsistent right now. We're too inconsistent. as a team, we're really too inconsistent on offense, and it's a fine line right now between winning and losing, and we're on the wrong side of it too many times.
All right, there's Shane Beamer talking about the inconsistencies of this football team, especially on offense. As we crack open the Gamecock Notebook, John and Ray hanging there. We're going to get to you on a Reaction Monday, 803-404-6100, AAA Heating and Air Hotline. But first of all, Jay Phillips will break open his cool leather Gamecock
That's right.
notebook.
Again, my permanently borrowed Gamecock notebook from my days as a student. I got it at the Russell House bookstore.
What do you think is the... I mean, the statute of limitations is gone from you ripping that
over.
off.
No, it's over. It's
a long
over.
time
It's
ago.
over.
Had you put that like in your? Well, back then you didn't have a backpack. You probably had a book bag, or something.
But no,
like
I had
that.
a bag. No, I had a
You had
backpack.
a backpack. Okay, I'm just checking on you.
Yeah.
You probably just slipped that in
It
your
was,
backpack and walked out of the bookstore, right?
No, Terry, I would never do that. I would never do that.
Yeah,
Well,
you.
it sounds. I'm not from Baltimore.
That's
I wouldn't do that. Before we do get to phone calls, Jalen's got it queued up for us as promised here. This is a near 2-minute cut from yesterday afternoon's teleconference. Shane Beamer explaining his decision to part ways with Mike Shula.
Mike Shula is a fantastic football coach. Mike Shula is a fantastic person. His resume and all he's accomplished as a coach speaks for itself at the college level and the NFL level. I just made the decision that I made last December to promote him, and believed it was the right decision for a lot of reasons, as I spoke about at the time. And frankly, it just hasn't worked like I wanted it to work. We all have a hand in it, players and coaches. We all have to be better, but just did not like the way we were performing offensively through now 10 games, and felt like going forward short term and long term, this was a decision that I needed to make for the betterment of our program. I know no one wants to hear it. We're not far off. We have been in the fourth quarter of games against multiple teams this year that are college football playoff contenders, and we're right there. And I expect to have this team back in the mix for a college football playoff berth, just like we were last season. And I expect to have this team in that mix soon. It obviously won't be in 2025, but in order for us to get where we want to go, we need to elevate and take another step from an offensive standpoint. It's not just about this season. We haven't been consistent enough from an offensive standpoint the last few years, and there's another level of play that we can get to offensively.
So there you go. That was Shane yesterday. Again, no press conference tomorrow. Shane will have some availability, obviously, Wednesday with the SEC Coaches Teleconference, and then Carolina calls this week later on. But Terry, again, we played that clip for the audience in the first hour of the show, and I can almost feel the reverberations of people asking what took so long. And you asked me my opinion of that earlier. I'll give it again. I feel like perhaps, and again, I don't have inside information on this, but I feel like maybe Shane, with the Lonnie Teasley situation a few weeks back, wanted to give that an opportunity to take hold and see if some of the changes that could be made up front would have a positive effect on the overall offense. It really has not. Again, the Oklahoma game and the Mississippi game, I thought were really just poor performances for the Gamecock offense. And let's be perfectly honest, they didn't light the world on fire against Alabama. When you score 22 points at home against arguably a very good defense, it's still, it wasn't enough, right? And that was the most offensive points South Carolina has scored this season, the 22 against Alabama. So I understand the need for a change. I know it's not all Mike's fault. I think Shane alluded to that. Terry, I will continue to say, I don't believe this offense ever utilized the personnel in the proper way, at least often enough. I do think this offense is a lot more pro style than what this particular group of players can produce. And I do believe that Shane really has it on him now to go out and find a more collegiate-minded offensive coordinator, someone who can come in and really take advantage, not just of the space and all those kind of things too, but that knows how to be creative with the limitations that a lot of collegiate rosters have. You know, there's only so many LSUs and Alabamas and Georgias to go around, and even Georgia fans never think Mike Bobo's creative enough, right? I kid a little bit, but they don't. So, you know, you got to find somebody that can think outside the box. I hate to use terms like that and buzz terms like that, but I don't think there was enough of that with this offense. I genuinely do not, and I think that's why a change has been made.
I just think that, look, sometimes, look, Mike was the head coach at Alabama right before Nick. Matter of fact, that's how long ago it was.
Yeah,
and
20 years ago.
And Mike was in the NFL for a long time. And, you know, the college game is different than it was 20 years ago. And I just think someone who understands more of the collegiate game and how to run offense. And I just felt like Mike was like, okay, this is what I'm going to run, or this is how we're going to do it, more than, okay, let's look at Lenore Sellers and how can we take advantage of this special skill set, right? It was even from the get-go. When we talk about progressions and doing all those things, we were like, you know, again, I go back to when Brewer was here, and you were saying, I want to get back to what was going on last year, and Brewer's like, oh, he's running for his life. And you were like, yeah, kind of. It's just the idea.
Worked.
Yeah, I mean, I just felt like, I think, again, Mike believed in what he wanted to do, and I understand the things he wanted to do. It didn't work to the players he had, and number 16 is such a special talent. I think you just have to say, look, this is how we're building the offense for 16, and we'll fill the rest of it in, but we've got to build this offense around a guy who has a very special skill set level that we have to take advantage of while he's still here. And I just didn't think that happened. That was just me.
Yep, I hear you. All right, let's you want to get to some calls?
Yeah, let's grab Ray real quick. Ray's been holding on for I think 3 hours. Ray, we appreciate your patience, my friend. You're on the Postgame show. How you doing, pal? Well, Ray told us.
Gone.
All right, John. Thanks for holding on. You're on the Postgame show, my friend. Always good hearing from you.
Hey, fellas. I hate to say it, and because obviously if you have to do this, it means that your season's not going as expected. This had to happen. There's no other way around it, no ifs, ands, or buts. To me, the jump-off point for me was the Oklahoma game, where it just constantly felt like inside zone to phase on every single play for 1, none, or negative yardage. Lenoris has regressed this year. You know, the misses that he had the other night, I don't know if that's on him coaching or both. It probably is both. But it just felt like Mike Shula came in, had an idea of what he wanted to do, and it wasn't meant for this group of players that Carolina has. You look at what Carolina did last year, and you take all the good that was there, and you look at what made that offense so good last year, and it's like Mike Shula just went completely away from it because I guess it's just not Mike's style, and that's fine. It's just if this is what you've got to work with, then going away from what works doesn't seem to be a great idea. Going forward here, though, and I hope the fans understand this, and I hope Jeremiah Donati understands this. I think he does. If, you know, Lenoris doesn't come back, and you got to look at this roster right now. This roster was a lot of holdover from a year ago. The Garnet Trust, Shane Beamer, and the coaching staff did a fine job of retaining some of the best talent from last year. Lenoris Sellers, Nick Harbor, Oscar Attaway, all of those running backs that they brought in, you know, Rasul Faison came in. I thought he was going to be a much stronger addition, but I just, again, don't think that Mike Shula used him properly. Next year might not be that. You might be resetting as far as the offensive personnel goes, and we have no idea who the quarterback is going to be. So I hope fans will understand that, and I also hope Shane will go out and get somebody who is kind of quarterback friendly as far as his offensive coordinator goes, doesn't have somebody who has, you know, the world atlas for a playbook. Dumb the thing down if you have to. It doesn't matter.
All right,
well, that's
John,
one
we
of the
appreciate
things,
it.
John, that you have to look at is what the personnel is going to look like, and I think those are the big conversations. We'll take more, and I got some other breaking news away from football coming up.
All right, let's grab a little traffic here. Got a few accidents still to hit. Accident has been cleared though in West Columbia, I-26 westbound at Augusta Road, exit 111. Accidents that have not been cleared yet. South Lake Drive at Highway 602, Platte Springs Road, also Garner's Ferry at Old Eastover. Forest Drive at Highway 12, Percival Road, Clemson Road at Summit Parkway, I-20 eastbound between Longs Pond Road and South Carolina 6. That's exit 51 and 55. There's an accident there, and the two right lanes are still blocked. We'll come back. Breaking Atlanta Braves news. And your calls on a Reaction Monday next on the Postgame Show on the Game. I'll get our drive around the SEC here in just a second. Of course, once again, Jay Phillips not here today. He's at Greg Sankey's house to do the drive around the SEC like he does every day.
Something
now.
like that. But this is not SEC
No,
directly,
it's not.
but it unites the SEC footprint because the Atlanta Braves, by and large, are the favorite team of many an SEC fan. But the Braves have announced just about 20 minutes ago that Walt Weiss will be the new Braves manager. So he will move up from his longtime role as bench coach to Brian Snitker. Walt, of course, is a former Major League manager himself. He played for the Atlanta Braves about 25 years ago and has been with the team for the last decade. So he moves up, Terry. Really, we knew Walt was one of the candidates. We knew Denny Lehman, the bench coach for Dave Roberts and the Dodgers, was one of the candidates. And perhaps the Braves simply needed to wait to be able to speak with Denny yesterday after what was an amazing World Series finish, by the way.
Ridiculous.
Which we have not yet talked about, and we'll try to get into it. But it was that was so much fun to watch on Saturday night. But I imagine the Braves spoke with Denny Lehman either yesterday or sometime today before the Dodgers' big parade just to see. I imagine they could have some conversation, but when you're in the throes of something like that with LA, you can't really do a lot of this. But the Braves have decided on Walt Weiss. So, again, that just came down. We'll gather more detail on who he keeps, what changes. One other quick Braves note, Ha-Seong Kim declined his player option. So he will become a free agent, had a really good run in a half a season as the Braves shortstop. But he may be too rich for the Braves' blood next year. We'll find out. But once again, Walt Weiss is the guy for Atlanta. And Terry, we now have our fourth SEC coaching vacancy as Auburn has fired Hugh Freeze. Not at all surprised. I have to believe, and I'm dead serious when I say this, I have to believe that everybody on that football team before kickoff knew that he was a dead man walking, because that was as lackluster a football performance as I don't think you could have drawn up a way for Auburn to look worse, unless they simply didn't score at all. But Kentucky is terrible. The game was at Jordan-Hare, and Auburn's players seemingly could not have cared less. They had to know their coach was being fired.
Is that when you have a team meeting and say, if we suck real bad, we get rid of this jabroni? I mean, that's how they played. They played like they wanted him fired.
I don't know. Either that or, again, they knew in advance.
Yeah,
I have no
maybe.
idea. But,
it just was awful.
10-3 should be a first quarter score, not a game.
You know what? When you lose to Kentucky at home, that should count as 5 losses.
And then, the week before, they put up 33 points. And I thought it was a turnaround. And then they laid an egg against Mark Stoops in Kentucky, where a lot of people were saying, how is he still with a job?
Well, and people always say that Stoops always finds his one. This was not because of something that Kentucky did. I'm sorry. It's not that Kentucky didn't play well enough or whatever, but for Auburn to score 3 points at home, come on. There's something was going on, but he's out. So that's Florida, LSU, Arkansas, and now Auburn that have coaching vacancies. Might we see one in Lexington? I can't believe that this is the game that salvages Mark Stoops' time up in the Commonwealth.
You can't stand up as an athletic director like Mitch Barnhart and say, well, I'll tell you what, we're happy to bring Stoops back after that big win on the Plains. No, I just can't see that.
So I still think that one's probably going to open as well. But really nice comeback win for Georgia. For a while there, they were kind of Georgia-ing again. But they got it done late. Not pretty, but hey, who cares? Texas holds off Vanderbilt. State explodes in the fourth quarter to keep Arkansas winless.
That was
Hogs
a crazy ending.
That was, man. That was. Arkansas also just like, we got this. No, you don't, actually.
It's a real shame because, we're all rooting for Bobby Petrino.
Yeah.
Well, they had 2 moral victories they were claiming, and I thought they were finally thinking, hey, we got a real one. No, not this time. Not this time.
No.
And Oklahoma goes to Knoxville and
huge
holds
win
off Tennessee. That was really impressive.
That was a nice
really
win,
impressive.
man. How about that Sooner defense? Woo, that was good.
Yeah, and that was an elimination game. So Tennessee will not, in my opinion, be back in the college football playoff. Oklahoma still has a chance.
I
So
do
there
not
you go.
disagree. I mean, look, but Oklahoma's got a tough schedule, and we'll see where it goes. But that was I thought Tennessee would find a way to win, but Oklahoma's defense. Tennessee even admitted at the end of that game, Jay, like post game, they were like, "Look, that Oklahoma defense did stuff we weren't expecting." So really nice work by Brent Venables' crew.
I mean, as of right now, they're in. They're number 11, but they got to play Alabama on the road.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, they still got Bama and LSU. So again, I think Oklahoma. Again, they've taken Tennessee out. They're still in. I like Oklahoma's chances only slightly better than I like Texas's opportunity, but I don't know that I like either one of them to find a way.
Me either.
Unless this committee wants a 3-loss team in, which again last year they did not. This year they may. We'll see.
Let's be real quick. I mean, as nice as that win was for the Sooners, and give them a thumbs up. Watching both of these teams, I'm talking about the whole team now, not just one side of the ball or whatever. Do either one of them look like, wow, that's a playoff squad?
No.
Nah. But yeah,
the entrance looked like a playoff entrance from Tennessee.
Playoff entrance.
That looked like something you would see in the playoffs, but it's like, nah, the performance didn't match that. So hey,
yeah, that was a nice win for Oklahoma.
Yeah.
That was. All right, you want to get to Ray?
Yeah, Ray. Thanks for holding on, my man. You're on the post-game show on the Game Winner Reaction Monday. How you doing, pal?
Hey, Jay. Hey, Terry. Jay, just want to let you know, brother, I haven't talked to you, but you and Wild Bill were in my prayers.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you.
So I'll let you know that, yes. And also, guys, I tell you, this morning I was a little bit of a negative Nelly about the program. Terry, I think it had to do – my head was fogged up because it was so foggy outside this morning, you know. But you know what happened? The sun came out. And I started thinking, about kind of like Jay said earlier, kind of thinking about the future of the program. Not just this season, of course, so we definitely want to win that last game if we can. But I started thinking about the future. Shane's our coach. But what we got to do, and I say we, and I mean, Donati and maybe Ellett, whoever, we've got to get that OC. And I think this is so important, not just for the football program, but for the school, for the state, for radio shows. It is so important that we nail down that OC, and I think it has to be a village, a group effort here. Because we got to get Shane back to what he does best. That's recruiting his butt off and promoting this football program. If we can get that coach there, I think our future is very bright. And that's just what I got to say, guys. Thanks a lot.
All right, Ray, thank you. I agree with you completely on that last point.
Yes.
Look, Shane knows what he wants to do with this football program. And despite, this isn't pushback on those who sometimes say, well, Shane's never been a coordinator. That doesn't, again, Urban Meyer wasn't a coordinator. Dabo Swinney wasn't a coordinator. I'm not trying to liken him directly to those men, but I don't know that that's got to be the prerequisite. Yes, most coaches obviously go through a one side of the ball or another job before moving on. But Shane knows football. Look where he grew up. Look who he grew up under. Look where he played his college ball. He's coached at Tennessee. He's coached at Georgia. He's coached for Steve Spurrier. He's coached for Lincoln Riley. Yeah, I mean, and now he's been doing this. Ray's right. Shane's a recruiter. Shane's a real good motivator of people, and I do think those things matter in the grand scheme. What he does with this hire, I agree, Ray. This you got to get it right. You got to get it right, and maybe it's time to think a little bit outside the box from where Shane has been on that. Ray, good stuff. Appreciate you. That's our drive around the SEC. We'll come back with a little Jay versus the Internet. You're listening to the Postgame Show.
All right, get a little Jay versus the internet here in just a minute. On a Reaction Monday, appreciate you if you stepped in and hit us up at 803-404-6100, whether the AAA Heating and Air hotline or the Firehouse Sub text line. Women, they get it going for real. 6:30. Brad Muller on the call as the Gamecocks host Grand Canyon. That is, again, 6:30 tonight, 7 o'clock tip here on 107.5 The Game in Columbia. All right, man.
Old friend Winston Gandy coming in to coach.
I know.
Lopes.
How about that
I'm
guy?
excited for that, man.
That's cool. Good for him.
Yes.
Good for Winston.
It's great. It's great.
Good for Winston. All right, man. You ready to rock and roll here? You set?
Let's do it.
All right, hit the music there. There we go. No pressure. Just your life savings. No pressure. All right, here we go. Cardinals and Cowboys in Dallas tonight. Cowboys 3.5-point favorites. We'll start with the easy one. You taking Dallas or Arizona? Dallas and give it a 3.5.
Dallas minus the points.
Yep, I agree with that one. All right, over-under is 53.5, sir.
Ooh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I want the under on that one.
All right, we'll go under there.
Well, I don't know. Dallas's defense is bad.
Terrible.
It's god-awful.
It's bad.
You know what? No, I'm changing my mind. I want the over.
You know what's interesting in this game? I just thought of it. Because the Cowboys are the ultimate reverse lock all the time. Would anybody be surprised if the Arizona Cardinals, with a backup quarterback at 2-5, go into Dallas and find a way to beat the Cowboys? Would anybody be surprised?
No.
Not one bit.
Nobody would be surprised.
No.
I'll be
It's
angry because I just picked the Cowboys.
I know.
It's Dallas.
That's the Cowboys.
And
like
I live with a Cowboy fan.
Oh,
I need
yeah.
her in a good mood. So.
Yeah, you want to keep her happy. Absolutely, because she'll take it out on you.
Well, Denver beat Dallas the other day.
See, it's not good for you, man. It's not good for your health. All right. The third one in Jay versus the internet. Follow me here. The Arizona Cardinals have one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL. Dak Prescott averaging almost 259 yards a game throwing the football on average. Over under Dak passing yards tonight, 265.
Oh, boy. He was bad against Denver because Denver was all over him.
That's a good pass defense.
Their defense is the top three.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'll take. I'll go over that.
All right, going over? All right.
Yeah.
Good deal. I can see Dak throwing for 2,058 yards against his pass defense.
Well, I don't know.
Not very good.
Like 3-0.
Very good.
Speaking of throwing, hang on, Jalen. Speaking of throwing, congratulations to me.
Woo!
I won the Wild Card Showdown. Tiebreaker over Terry and tiebreaker over our listener Frank. Elijah and our listener Jack went 2-3, but Frank did beat Jack, but he did not beat Terry and me because we had the higher tiebreaker number. The tiebreaker was combined pass yards for Mahomes and Allen. It was 523. I guessed 525. Terry guessed 512. Frank guessed 420. So I won on the tiebreak, but Terry and I finished at 3-2. So I am 26-24. I've pulled even with Elijah, who was also 26-24. And Terry Ford, you're just a game back at 25-25.
Look at us.
Starting to look like we might actually be able to make some picks here at the end of the season.
Well, I mean, we only lost like 70 beer cards. So,
well, considering how low how below 500 we were.
We were awful. I mean, look, we're doing backflips on being a little bit over 500. We're not doing that, but man, we started off so bad.
So out of the games y'all picked, which ones were you surprised by that didn't go well?
Let's see. I was surprised, I guess, because I thought, especially, look, when Texas was up so big on Vandy, I'm not going to lie, I kind of thought like that was – I didn't think they were going to win by 24, but I did think Texas was going to win by double digits. I really did. And so for Vandy to have come back the way they did surprised me a little bit. I had Texas minus the 3.5. Terry picked Vandy, and so did Frank and Jack, our listeners. Elijah and I had the Horns. But all three of us on air had Tennessee, and the two listeners had Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So – yeah.
I mean, it was one of those where you're not like surprised because, it was, again, these are two teams around equal in a lot of ways. I mean, I just took Tennessee because it was in Neyland. I thought it was going to be a close kind of game.
I thought Tennessee would win by 3 or 4. It was 2.5. I thought they could win by 3 or 4.
Same here.
Good for Oklahoma. And I did remember how I hedged on I didn't like that 19.5 Ohio State Penn State, and I was like, And Ohio State did cover by 24. So
I know.
There you go. Well, so I got that one.
Yeah. But again, the Steeler one, we took the Steelers, you and I, right?
Correct.
Yeah, because what did we say? That's the kind of game the Steelers win.
Yeah,
the Colts are rolling.
It felt like the Steelers were due a win like that at home, and when you're giving the Steelers points at home,
yeah, exactly.
That's just a big ask.
And plus, the Colts were due for a clunker. They've been playing so well all year. It all just it made sense.
Yeah. And again, if y'all didn't hear, Walt Weiss is the brand new manager of the Atlanta Braves. Expect a formal announcement in the coming days and more details in just a bit. All right, good stuff, boys.
All right,
See you
fellas,
tomorrow.
go work.
Ryan Brewer in the house as well. Later.